This podcast is sponsored by Borfindel's Dwarf Spirits. Guaranteed to blow your head off. I mean, really. I've seen it. One sip and boom. I'm not entirely sure I see the point, but they seem quite popular. Anyway, order Borfindel's Dwarf Spirits now at the introductory price of 14 groats per gallon and get a pint of goblin spittle for free.
Hello, and welcome to Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG talk. I, as always, am Morrus, aka Russ, or Russ, aka Morrus, and with me is my sage-like yet knightly partner in crime, and by crime I mean making...
Perfectly legitimate business activities.
Yes, making podcasts without a fishing licence. I have no idea why I just said that, what that means, but...
It means we should put these cart back quickly. You fool.
But yes, with me is my usual co-host
Peter Coffey from the Southampton Guild of Roleplayers. Hello, Russ. I am delighted to be here.
Hello, Peter.
Yes.
What have you been up to in the last week then?
Oh, a bit of this, bit of that.
Bit of this, bit of that.
Yeah. Bit wee, bit wild, bit dodgy. But probably the most exciting and indeed the most relevant thing to this conversation would be I have been to Contingency, which is all the way in Hunstanton.
And it's a convention.
It is a convention, hence the con in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting. If you imagine the east coast of England, there's like a notch cut out of it about a quarter of the way up from the south coast, and that notch is called the Wash. And on the south coast of the Wash is where Hunstanton is, and that's where I've been.
So what did you do at this convention?
So many games.
So many games.
Yeah, so many RPGs, all one-shots. It was glorious.
What did you play? Go on.
I played Era Consortium, Era Balan.
Okay, I'm seeing a theme here.
But what can I say? I enjoyed it. I played some Dungeons and Dragons in Ravnica.
What's Dungeons and Dragons?
It's a little system. It involves...
Indie game, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reptiles, Furnished Crave, Arsonists. I played some Adventurers League, which I was very pleased with. I also played Dead of Night, not to be confused with Dead of Winter. One's a really simple role-playing game, and the other's a very complex board game. I played something. It was really good. I played Starfinder for the first time.
How did you find Starfinder? I've not played it yet. I've got it, but I haven't played it.
Well, I really liked the GM. The players were great. I'm massively invested in the story. I now want to run Starfinder modules, but I don't want to use Starfinder to run it because there's just so... I was playing a level 4 character. I had so many feats. I'm like looking at a page with about 6 or 7 line inches of feats, things that I can do and things that were relevant.
Yeah.
And also I was trying to play an operative, which is like basically a rogue.
Yeah.
And to actually do any like nice stuff, I had to make sort of a stealth or a bluff or an intimidate roll, which was about 35% chance of succeeding. So then I had to try and roll to hit my target, which then was about another 25-35% chance of doing so. So my chance of actually doing anything on a round successfully were in the region of 15%.
Were these pre-generated characters?
These were pre-generated characters. Fourth
level? Oh, yeah, that's probably... Jumping in at 4th level on your first time would probably be quite intimidating, I think, as far as...
I'm expecting to have a lot of different options, but
yeah,
I'm just like, there are a lot of things to do, but I knew what I was doing. Yeah. It's just I couldn't really do it because like the probabilities were not in my favour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do occasionally crunch rolls, but yeah, like so Starfinder has a system. Not a big fan, but if you love Pathfinder, if you love like 3.5, then it'll be a big upgrade from those systems because your rogues won't be reliant on other people to do stuff.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been sorting out my library over the last week. So for the last, 50 million years, the last 5 or 6 years, it's essentially been I set up the library about 5 or 6 years ago. It's basically a small spare bedroom with shelves all around it.
Yeah.
But it ended up being the laundry room, and I physically haven't been able to get into it in like 7 years.
Awkward.
So me and Sharon, we made a deal.
Yes.
Around some things, and I've got my library back.
Huzzah!
So I bought some nice new IKEA bookshelves, put them up, sorted out all my books, put them all on the shelves, sorted out all my role-playing games. Got a shelf full of box sets. I've got a shelf full of 5th edition. Got a shelf full of miscellaneous hardbacks. I've got all sorts of stuff. I've got half a shelf full of maps.
Nice.
Which is like, battle maps and all that sort of stuff. I didn't realise I had so many collected over the years.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic, yeah. Sci-fi ones, fantasy ones, all sorts of stuff.
We should take some pictures and stick it on the listeners' podcast.
Yeah.
So they can critique your taste in books.
Yeah. I also discovered that some books that I know damn well that I used to own are not there. So I don't know what's happened to those over the years. I mean, they're either in this house somewhere, which, well, as you know, I've got a fairly cluttered house, so maybe they are. Or I've lost them in the various moves I've done over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame, because there's quite a lot of AD&D first edition stuff, which I've got a real sort of nostalgic fondness for, which I, at the moment, can't find.
Oh, that is sad, huh?
Yeah.
Good times.
But still.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yes.
So, what has caught your eye in the world of RPGs this week, Peter?
What has caught my eye in the world of RPGs? Well, there's been two things that have caught my eye, and they will appeal to different groups of people.
You're cheating again.
I am. First is an ingenious encounter for crossing a gap, which is normally like, it's a bridge, whatever, you have a fight on it, maybe you don't, whatever. It's not that exciting. But this is essentially, if you imagine a Archimedes screw, or just basically any sort of screw, it's like just a long thing with like grooves on and so forth.
Screws, yeah.
Excellent, I'm very pleased with you. And the idea is that you can only cross it by walking along the threads.
Right.
So it's sort of like by walking almost in place, you sort of slowly move along. So there's a couple of things to this. One is that you can't go backwards. And the second is like there's always going to be like a discrete space between you and the next person due to the grooves of the screw. And this is pretty interesting. Just like it's all very simple to explain, and you just draw a picture and then people can work out where they are.
Yeah.
But then once you're actually doing it, instant complications ensue, especially if you're to be like some sort of, awful person, aka a GM, and throw in a combat encounter, perhaps with some flying things. So you're like, well, you're getting across the bridge and you're about half, so you've either got the party split, or you've got some on the bridge, some not, others thing, and then it's like, it just presents a much more interesting tactical puzzle for players to get their teeth into.
Cool.
Yeah, you don't even need to use anything particularly big, like, a couple of winged kobolds with some slings would be a terrible thing to have happen to you. Excuse me.
Maniacal laugh.
What can I say? It made me giggle.
Clearly.
And the other was a very nice essay by a chap called Rick Neal, I think his name is. And it's called I'm Sorry, But That's What My Character Would Do.
Ah, yes. I think I've seen that linked. I haven't read it.
Oh, yes. I just saw it today, so I thought I'd sneak it in because I really liked it. Friend of mine linked it, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty sweet. And essentially, it's looked at this chap's evolution as a gamer from the 80s and just ways you can grow as a character, so you can still have disagreements with your party, but what you want to do...
Without scuppering the entire game.
Without scuppering the entire game. Work so you can have those disagreements, but resolve them, so you can have the disagreements, but your game still goes on. And it's not revolutionary in many ways, but I think it's with so many new hobbyists coming to join us, I think it's always worth having that sort of advice, just so people can say, oh yeah. Because things we know and things people who've never come into the hobby don't know. Big difference. And I'm delighted that there's so many people wanting. I mean, one of the GMs I had this weekend, it was his second time running D&D. And this was the Ravnica chap. And the reason he was into it is because his brother's the top 10 Magic players in the UK. So he really likes the thing. Not so big on the card game, but with this, he's come. Had a really fun time. I didn't really bother too much about knowing the rules or anything. I was just there to roleplay my little socks off, and it was fantastic.
Cool.
They handled it really well.
That's given me an idea for a topic of the week we can say.
Brilliant.
How about the top 10 RPG crimes?
When you say top 10 RPG crimes, are you talking terrible things that one does out of character in an RPG or in character in an RPG?
While playing an RPG.
Okay, I will write that down. Top 10 RPG crimes. That sounds really interesting.
I think it's a nice catchy title. I don't know how it'll work out.
I think we need to go to the people.
Still, would you like to know what caught my eye this week?
I would love to know what caught your eye this week.
So I in the process of doing all this library stuff,
Yeah.
I've been looking through a lot of my sort of 80s and 90s stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing that I remembered was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness RPG from back in the 90s. Now I remember, and I don't remember how I didn't notice this at the time, but we had a group, and we had a group who were all spelt with K's, just for the alliteration.
Of course.
But it was a Killer Celtic Cows. There was another K. I don't know. Well, I suddenly realised all those K's. That's got a really, really unfortunate acronym, hasn't it?
Yeah, you were playing in the KKK.
Yeah. So we didn't notice that at the time. I literally just realised that this week and just thought, oh my god.
It doesn't have the same issues in the UK. It's like we like K's, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, so I was just playing around, and I decided to make a random, accidental, anthropomorphic character generator.
I see where you're coming from
which you need 1d20.
Ah, I have one here.
You have one there. What a coincidence.
What were the chances?
Yes. So would you like to generate a quick character?
I would love to generate a quick character. So we're going to roll that
4 times.
4 times?
Yes.
Ooh. Number 1 is a 12.
Number 12, you are an urban.
14.
Atomic.
4.
Espionage.
15.
Hippo.
Urban, atomic, espionage, hippo.
Yes.
By Chinga.
Now tell me you don't want to play that now.
I cannot, because I do.
let me try one. Okay. So what have I got? I've got, what's that?
18?
Is that an 18 or is it
16?
18.
16.
16.
And on this, we should have gone to Specsavers. 18.
Furious. 12. Narcotic. 14. Outlaw. And 14 again. Kangaroo.
Furious, narcotic, outlaw, kangaroo.
Yes.
So, starring in Tank Girl, I think.
Yeah. And I just had a load of fun with that. I mean, I just had to come up. I've just divided it into 4 columns. We got descriptor, origin, career, and animal. And that was basically based off the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Nice.
So, teenage is a descriptor, mutant is its origin, ninja are their career, and animal is turtle for them.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I just came up with 20 of each. And I'm just having such fun with it that this is so definitely going to turn into something now.
Oh my, yes.
It has to. It absolutely has to. But I've whacked this chart up in various places. I've put it on Twitter and Facebook and on my site and stuff like that. So if people want to check it out and have a laugh, it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah, no, fantastic. It sounds like the sort of thing that may become a resource that I call upon from time to time, especially if I'm doing, some Feng Shui games and need an antagonist, then I know where to go.
Exactly. Right, shall we do some news?
Oh, yes, let's do the news.
Shall we do the news?
What's happening in the world of RPGs, Russ?
Well, did you know that it is an anniversary today?
I did not.
In fact, it's multiple anniversaries.
What?
It's like an anniversathon. That's not even a word, but it is one, nevertheless.
Well, if it was, I'm sure I wouldn't pronounce it correctly. But please, continue.
So, it is the 30th anniversary of Shadowrun.
Huzzah!
It's the 35th anniversary of BattleTech.
What?
And, this is the big one,
Ooh.
it is Dungeons & Dragons' 45th birthday.
Goodness.
Yep. 45 years old. 1974
Yep.
is when D&D launched. And the exact date isn't actually known. So John Peterson, who's a sort of D&D historian and journalist, pegs it as the last Sunday in January, which would have been yesterday as we're recording it.
That's
and that
really
would be
interesting.
D&D's 45th birthday. Some people do disagree slightly. So some say it's January the 26th.
Yeah.
Which was the last Sunday of the January of 1974. Some people say it's January the 30th, and that's the date on the copyright filing of the game. But that was filed 2 years later as a belated copyright filing. So, and some people choose January the 15th as that's the trademark date. Although that's not when the game actually came out.
Right.
So 45 years ago, roughly this week, I think we can sort of say, roughly this week, Dungeons & Dragons' 45th birthday. First edition was it's this boxed set in a wood grain box. I've got a picture of it here. Look. By Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson.
Yeah.
And it had 3 classes: the fighting man, the magic user, and the cleric. It had 4 races: human, dwarf, elf, and notably hobbit, not halfling.
Nice.
And 3 alignments: lawful, neutral, and chaotic. And this edition actually had things like balrogs and ents things like that, which ended up being changed, and the Hobbits as well.
The Tolkien estate was like,
yes, the Tolkien estate was not happy. So there's 3 books in this wood grain box. They were called Men and Magic, Monsters and Treasure, and The Underworld and Wilderness Adventures.
Nice.
And I don't have one. You can get them on eBay. They are not cheap. I would love one. I'd love one, but
it's really
it's too much.
Yeah,
for me. It's,
for what it is, but still a piece of history.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's this letter that Guy Gutz wrote to Arneson 45 years ago, and I've got this little snippet of it here on the side. And it says, "Rules, D&D, only a few days from printing. Look great. Best, Gary."
Fantastic.
They're clearly written on lined notepaper with a biro.
Yeah. I tell you, this is really, really spooky for me, sort of thing. And because I actually honestly had no idea because I'm not really a big man for anniversaries. But yesterday I was looking at my Facebook timeline was giving me history of stuff, and over the past 10 years or something, I have consistently been doing something pretty geeky, running role-playing games, creating stuff, and a lot of my best and original work has been done round about this time of year. Yeah. So, yeah, clearly something about the stars aligning.
Right. Savage Worlds. The start of Savage Worlds.
Yes.
They've launched the Savage Worlds Adventurers Guild.
I'm listening.
So this isn't like the D&D Adventurers Guild. It's more like the D&D Dungeon Master.
Oh, right.
So basically, it's a community.
It's not Adventurers League. It's a
Adventurers League. Yeah, it's a community content program.
It's like the Guild Master. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
You can, in partnership with Drive-Thru RPG, you can go and produce various items for Savage Worlds, sell them legally on Drive-Thru RPG, share the profits with Pinnacle Entertainment Group, and make a little bit of money with your fan-created material. In the same way that DM's Guild does it.
That is pretty relevant to my interest, I'll be honest.
You've got access to the Savage Worlds rules, complete access to the rules. What you don't have access to, unlike the DM's Guild, you don't have access to any of their sort of settings, like Deadlands or Rifts of Savage Worlds or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have access to that. So it's just it's literally the rules.
Yeah, but I think that's half the fun of Savage Worlds, creating your own stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm intrigued, I'll be honest.
Where are we?
Certainly a big move for Pinnacle Entertainment Group.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that might be why we did last week an article about someone who had to take out their license. Yeah,
I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah, because it came up they couldn't keep doing it because of changing the license, and that might be why. Because if they change the license so you can't use established settings, that would be a big problem for some people. Yeah, who are already producing existing stuff.
Sure.
Okay, so that's interesting. It's a bold move. So let's see if it pays off for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on then. So we got, as I mentioned earlier, the 30th anniversary of Shadowrun and the 35th anniversary of BattleTech. There's a brand new BattleTech beginner box.
Ooh.
It's got art by Griffin of a Griffin mech on the front cover. You can see it here. Look, big blue mech there.
Yeah, it's big. It's blue.
Yeah, it's a box set. 1999. Comes with 2 plastic minis of the Griffin and the Wolverine. There's a 24-page quick start rulebook, a hex map, 4 skill cards, and a 48-page novella, along with dice and bits and pieces, record sheets and cardboard tokens and bits and pieces like that.
Okay.
It's like fun. That's from Catalyst and what are they called?
Catalyst Labs, is it?
Yes. Yeah. Catalyst Game Labs. Yeah.
Catalyst Game Labs.
Yes.
Right.
And there's a new core box set for BattleTech. Ooh. And that comes with 8 miniatures, a 48-page novella again, a 48-page rulebook, 16-page record sheet booklet, 8 pilot cards, various other cards, a couple of hex maps, the 16-page primer on the BattleTech universe, reference cards, tokens, all that sort of stuff, all for $59.99.
Okay.
I'm actually quite tempted to pick that one up. That sounds quite good.
It's just like, I don't know how I'd play it because it's a bit outside my wheelhouse. It's one of those things where if someone said, "Would you like to play BattleTech?" I'd be like, "Oh, hell yes."
Yeah.
And jump on it. And then the thing is, once I've played it once, then I'm like, "Oh, okay, I sort of know how this works."
Yeah.
I would then go and run it for other people.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. You should play this game, you guys. Because, what can I say? Frothing fanboy. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on to Shadowrun.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So Shadowrun No Future. 196-page source book
Yes.
for Shadowrun 5th edition, Shadowrun Anarchy, and whatever version of Shadowrun you play.
Again from Catalyst Game Labs.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's a cyberpunk source book that details the day-to-day life of the average person in the Sixth World, as well as the many opportunities Shadowrunners would have to exploit them. From media, to sports, to SimSense, to music, to movies, to pirate news, to opera. This is the biggest glimpse we've gotten at the lifestyle and media of the Shadowrun world since probably the original first edition Shadowbeat sourcebook from 1992. You can pick that up in PDF format for $24.99. 196 pages.
That's a lot of flavour.
And there's another Shadowrun sourcebook, Shadowrun Chicago Chaos.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Written for the Shadowrun Anarchy system. So Shadowrun Anarchy is a sort of streamlined, more narrative-based system with a sort of rules-light mentality brought to Shadowrun. Hasn't had a massive amount of support since it was launched a couple of years ago. But, it's the anniversary and all that sort of stuff. So Shadowrun Chicago Chaos has new contact briefs, characters, plots, and other stuff that is designed to drop players right into Chicago post-Bug City. Again, PDF, $19.99, that one.
Okay, so a book full of plots, basically.
Yeah, looks like it, yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Monty Cook Games has a big old humble bundle going on.
Oh, yes, yeah.
If you've been looking to get into Numenera, this is a good opportunity, because even at just $1, you get DRM-free PDFs of all the core rule books and more. You get 8 books in total for just $1.
That's good value.
And at $15, you get 28 rule books and source books and adventures and stuff with a retail value of $260.
Nice.
So if you've been unsure, this sounds like the ideal way to do it. It also supports the LGBTQ plus suicide prevention charity It Gets Better.
Oh, fantastic.
So we'll stick a link in the show notes to that.
Yeah, and that's running until when?
Wednesday, February the 6th.
Fantastic. So, I mean, if you want 28 role-playing game books for $15, get to Humble Bundle and fill your boots.
You can't go wrong there, can you?
No, very hard to. And for a good cause as well.
Our editor Daryl made a video. Have you seen it?
I have seen it.
Have you watched it?
I have.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I liked
good.
it. Yeah.
So what he's done, he's taken the AD&D first edition book, Deities and Demigods.
Yes.
And because the Cthulhu mythos was removed from that book.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of sort of misinformation.
And the work on Monobone and stuff as well.
Yeah. So there's been lots of sort of theories about why that happened and what went on. So Daryl's decided to try and kind of dig into what actually happened. So he's put this video up and talked about the various sort of conversations that took place between different companies, and sort of Chaosium and TSR at the time, and some of the things that various people like
Michael Moorcock, Tolkien Estate,
Yeah.
and then all the individual people who were working at these companies at the time.
It's a really interesting little video. It's really worth. We'll stick a link to that.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
if you're interested in a bit of D&D history, it's totally worth watching.
No, absolutely. It's strange old days back in those days, but definitely fun.
So you know D&D Beyond.
This is the computerized system which supports generation of Dungeons and Dragons characters. Yes.
Yeah. So they've decided to publish the stats on how often various D&D adventures are viewed.
Ooh.
So this is just the adventures, so it doesn't include things like the Ravnica book or the Player's Handbook or anything like that. It's just the adventures straight. And they've ranked them in order of number of views.
Okay.
Over the lifetime of D&D Beyond.
Okay.
So do you want to make a guess? I don't know if it's possible to guess this, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there's 11 different adventures that have been released.
Lost Minds of Fandelver is consistently recommended as being very good module
Up
solid.
there at number 4.
Okay.
Which was the worst one? Or the least, not worst, the least viewed one.
Oh, that's a tricky one. Maybe Rise of Tiamat?
Rise of Tiamat.
Hey!
What a good guess. Yeah.
Probably because people tried to play Horde of the Dragon Queen, got horrendously beaten up, and then thought better of it. That game is hard, man. It's fun, but you don't... I wouldn't... That is not my choice for new players.
The most viewed one is Waterdeep Dragon Heist.
What? Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Most viewed ever. These aren't sales.
Yeah, but most
These are just
viewed.
people who have looked at that adventure or part of that adventure, or a patient. You know. So at the top we've got Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Well, it ties exactly with Curse of Strahd.
Curse of Strahd is pretty strong.
In my opinion, it's their best adventure.
Well, I haven't played all of them, but I'm not going to disagree.
I think it's definitely one of their most popular. I mean, on ENworld it scored 90%.
Oh, that's amazing.
If you compare that to Hall of the Dragon Queen, which got 52.5%, it's a big difference there.
It is, yeah. Tomb of Annihilation.
That came in at number 3.
Oh, well, I was going to say that's the Chiltern setting. I don't know, there's just something about it that sets my blood fizzing, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with that, so yeah.
I'm just whipping through the list in order, because Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Curse of Strahd tied for number 1. Tomb of Annihilation.
Yeah.
Lost Mine of Phandelver.
Okay, can't argue.
Storm King's Thunder.
I've heard amazing things about that.
Horde of the Dragon Queen.
It's an original one, yeah.
Tales from the Yawning Portal.
That's basically, there's a lot of different adventures in there, so that's worthwhile, yeah.
Out of the Abyss, which I really like.
I could see Out of the Abyss being very good, yeah.
But we're nearing the bottom of the list now. Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, third from bottom.
Well, yeah, I mean, that requires some like relatively high level play, but I could see it being very good, yeah.
Princes of the Apocalypse, which I think is thematically the one I'm least interested in. I've not played it, and so I'm not speaking to the quality of the actual adventure, but thematically, it's not my...
I've not had anything to do with myself, so I can't
And
tell
then
you.
Rise of Tiamat, right at the bottom, like you said.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with like Rise of Tiamat, I'm sure. I'm actually looking forward to playing it, but I think what that and Horde of Dragon Queen was sold as was like, this is like your starting adventures, and they don't...
It's interesting the difference between Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, because they came out, 2 weeks apart?
If that, yeah.
Really, really close to each other.
Yeah.
We've got Waterdeep Dragon Heist right at the top of the list,
Yes.
and right down near the bottom, third from last, Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage. It's interesting how different the two...
They are very different books, though.
I'm just trying to think of why would it be that one is viewed so much more than the other?
Because Waterdeep Dragon Heist is selling itself as a heist involving a dragon.
But there's no heist or dragon.
There is not.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if I was going to look at something, if I did, I'm like, Waterdeep Dragon Heist.
It's a good name. It's a very good name.
And there's one thing we appreciate on this podcast, it's good names.
Yes. Unfortunately, if this was the Kickstarter game, and you were trying to guess what Waterdeep Dragon Heist was based on just the name, you'd probably score like -1 million out.
I would be so excited about it as well. You'd
be like, oh, it's just Ocean's 11 with a dragon. That's going to be amazing.
Exactly. But apparently you can't even take dragons to Waterdeep. It's canonically guarded against it.
I do think Ocean's 11, but
I want to play that game. Thanks, Russ.
Well, you'll have to write it first, I'm afraid.
I know, Russ. Thanks. Okay. It's always the way you always end up writing the games you want to play in.
Yeah. So finally in the news, Chris Perkins of Wizards of the Coast has teased some map sketches.
Ooh.
So he says these may or may not be an upcoming D&D product. Who knows? But basically, these are... We'll put a link in the show notes so the listeners can see them. But basically, this one's got like the Tower of Storms, and there's lots of... There's clearly an island with a bridge, sort of, kind of walkway going over to it.
A causeway.
Some kind of... Yeah, a causeway. That's the word. That's the word. With some kind of island with a building on it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing that this might be linked to that nautical book that they've got coming out this spring.
Oh...
But then again, if he's just doing sketches now, it doesn't seem...
Oh, yeah. Well,
don't know.
We'll see. It might just be early concept art that's not been developed. So that's the thing.
So the other one he did was Dragon Barrow, which is...
Oh, Russ, you're looking at it. The head's at the bottom. The head's at the bottom.
Head?
Yeah. That's the head of the dragon.
Oh, yeah.
And those are wings.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a Klingon symbol. I was a bit confused.
Yeah.
But
so it's basically a burial mound, which is kind of shaped like a dragon, and then underneath there's a catacomb.
Dragon with its wing outstretched. Yeah. No, that's nice.
Yeah. And someone did actually think the shape of that thing looks a bit like a Spelljammer-esque dragon ship from above.
I think there's a lot of people who are wanting things that aren't happening.
Who knows? Who knows?
We don't know. But yeah,
that is true. We do not know.
We do not know. We
cannot be denied.
We
cannot be denied that we don't know.
Yeah, we can neither confirm nor deny rumours that the Dragon Barrow is in the shape of a Spelljammer ship.
Yeah. Right, I think that's it for the news.
Oh, fantastic! Well, there's all sorts of exciting stuff going on.
Yeah. Peter.
That's Russ.
How would you like to play our favourite game in all the world?
I'd love to play our favourite game in all the world. Remind me, what's it called again?
The game where I give you the name of a Kickstarter and you try and guess what it is from just the name.
Oh, so I suppose I should put the Scrabble set back then.
Yes, please do. I don't know where you came up with that Scrabble set. Horrible thing.
So, what's the first one?
Number one. What is Wolf Spell?
Ooh, interesting. Wolf spell, all one word or two words?
One word.
Wolf spell. It sounds like it might be an original system setting. I would be thinking it's a sort of like the paranormal romance role-playing game system, like Bitten by Kelly Armstrong, where you've got like modern day and there are werewolves kicking around in the city, like wolves in the city, and this is the role-playing game system and setting to support that, where there's like you've got your werewolves, but to differentiate it from say Werewolf the Apocalypse and all that jazz, you've got them as like more sort of like magical keepers of the wilds and so forth, and pushing back against the increasing pollution of Mother Earth, which doesn't really differentiate a lot, but yeah, good for government work. I'm sure I'm nowhere near, but how am I doing?
Not well.
No.
Yeah, you sort of, well, you're not, it's not cataclysmic. So you get 3 out of 10.
Woo!
So Wolfspawn, it's an original RPG system.
Yeah.
Now this is a quick starter, so it's only a 14-day one.
Oh, getting quick.
Ends on Sunday, February the 3rd.
Right.
This is the fun bit. It's going to be published as the liner notes of a record album jacket.
Okay, yeah.
It's a sword and sorcery game about adventurers who have transformed themselves into wolves in order to complete some dire quest. And it says it plays like a proggy metal concept album.
Ah, okay, yeah.
So when you're asked to roll, you roll a blood die and a wolf die and see which is higher. And that will tell you whether your wolf is guided by human knowledge and experience or by beast-like instinct.
Nice, okay, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a RPG system. It's published on a trifold LP jacket that folds out to a single 3-foot by 1-foot panel of wolf metal art. Describes itself as a towering spectacle of a role-playing game.
It certainly got a lot. It's making a lot of promises with that.
It sounds interesting. I can give you that. It's caught my eye.
Okay. I
love it when people play with format and all that sort of stuff.
It certainly. I think it would certainly be a good thing to have in the bookcase, and like you bring it out, you'd be like, yeah, we're playing Wolf Spell, and then you whack on like what's the hardest song in Guitar Hero called?
I have no idea. I've never played Guitar Hero.
It's by a prog metal band. I cannot remember for the life of me. Something like Through the Fear and Flame or something.
I'm not really into prog metal either, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, fair enough. I just assumed.
Do I look like I would be?
Well, yeah. Anyway, okay, so never mind. Right,
okay, 3 out of 10 for that.
Yeah, but I am pleased. It's better than what I was originally thinking of. So good work, Wolfspell.
All right, the next one.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is
Yes.
Destination Danger?
Sounds like a lot of fun to me. I think that is. Have I seen this online?
Have you seen
I don't know. Well, Destination Danger. The name says to me, like the use of the word destination in particular evokes for me a very specific sort of destination : danger. I'm hoping, yeah. So that evokes for me a very sort of like 40s and 20s to 40s, because that's like a lot of books around that time in my head have that as part of the title. So I'm hoping for, I guess, a pulp action adventure sort of thing. Yeah. I want a nice rules like pulp action adventure system and setting where you can just like basically say, is it pulp? Yes, we've got you covered. Blam, and you can do stuff like that.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
7 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I'll give you 8 out of 10.
What?
Okay,
Sure
so you said 20s to 40s.
Yes.
What's the exact middle of that?
30s?
1930. And this is a pocket-sized role-playing adventure set in the 1930s. So spot on.
Rules like, yeah. Sweet.
It's in the format of a card deck.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So the Destination Danger deck contains all the information you need for quick and fun role-playing experiences that can be run in as little as 25 minutes.
25 minutes role-playing game. That actually sounds pretty useful. I might see if I can release some club funds for buying a copy.
So I'm looking at a character here. So on the front, we've got a picture of, as a card.
Yeah.
On the front, we've got a picture of Ellen Doutsey, the novelist. And on the back, we've got a sort of a paragraph of description. And then she's got 5 stats: strength, defense, intelligence, speed, and health.
Yeah.
That's basically the character.
Yes, no, I think I did see an ad for that on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's very distinctive art style, really nice.
Yeah, it totally fits in with the period, doesn't it? Yeah.
Period 30s art style. But yeah, that's good.
It's fun, that. 25 minutes. I'd love to see that run. I'm assuming that doesn't involve the telling people how to play it and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's just like crack on and do it.
Yeah, once you know how to play it, it could be fun.
Yeah, no, Destination Danger. And when does Destination Danger end? Sorry?
Oh, Destination Danger ends February the 6th, next Wednesday.
February the 6th, next Wednesday. Okay.
1 week from when this podcast goes out.
Fantastic.
It's fun finding Kickstarters that haven't ended before the podcast goes out.
I know, it's like a new thing I'm going to try where I ask you when it ends, just so it's relevant to people in some fashion.
Okay, the next one is Dark Places and Demogorgons of the Cryptid Manual.
Oof.
Cryptid being CRYPTID.
Yeah, it means like unknown beastie of some kind. So what's it? Dark Places and
Demogorgons.
Yeah, and then the
the Cryptid Manual.
Well, it's a bestiary of some description. It is a hell of an evocative title. I'm like, yeah, tell me more about this. So I definitely pick it up, which is always a good start for having a title on your book, getting people to click through and see what it is. Why the Cryptid Manual? Now, Demogorgon, that is, I'm pretty sure that's not a regular mythology thing. So that seems to me to be a definite reference to D&D and D&D style things.
What's it called?
Sorry?
I think Demogorgon is. I'm not 100% sure. Just this thing in my head just saying it is. I don't know. I might be wrong.
No, absolutely. Yeah, okay. I'm sure people will be more than delighted to write and tell me I'm wrong. Hi. I like it really. If you can tell me where it actually comes from, I'd be super interested. Okay, so Dark Places. Right. I don't know, man. It sounds like, and this is almost certainly wrong, but it sounds like the monster manual for Stranger Things.
Yeah, you're on the 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Is it?
Yeah. Basically, so it's a game called Dark Places and Demogorgons, which obviously has...
Right, yeah.
The Cryptid Manual is essentially their bestiary.
Yes.
Their monster manual, as it were. Creatures like Bigfoot, the Mothman, the Jersey Devil, the Pope Lick Monster. What's that? Is that a thing?
I've no idea.
The Chupacabra, Gremlins, lake monsters and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically it's the monster manual for Dark Places and Demogorgons.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. Right. When does that Kickstarter end?
That Thursday, February the 7th.
Thursday, February 7th. So that's another like gift from past Peter to future Peter waiting to happen.
Yeah. Okay, the next one.
Yes?
Next one.
Yeah.
I feel like we've done this one before.
What's the name?
Between Sun and Shadow.
If it's the one where you've got humans and vampires running around a world to avoid being blasted by stuff.
That is the one that we have done. I'm trying to check. No, that's not actually it.
Okay.
That's when I saw that title. I thought that immediately too. Yeah, it's not that. I'm just looking at it.
Okay, so it's not one we've done before. Damn, now I have to think of what it could be. Between Sun and Shadow. What is Between Sun and Shadow? Because I guess there's like a really thin interstitial line between like the sunlit world and the place where the sun isn't shining, which is the shadow. So I guess you could look at it as some sort of the night watch, day watch, twilight watch sort of thing, and there's this sort of ongoing battle in a binary good evil situation where like I don't know, is it between sun and shadow? Yeah, and I guess we're looking for player characters to introduce some sort of shades of grey or something like that. So I'm going to go with system setting. I don't know. I'm intrigued, but it's an evocative name, but not 100% sure.
1 out of 10.
Okay, fair enough. Had sun in the title.
You can have 1 out of 10, or you can have 3 out of 300. Which of those two scores would you prefer?
3 out of 300 every time. Yeah.
This is a campaign setting
Yes.
for the Tiny D6 Tiny Dungeon 2nd Edition game.
Oh, that rings bells. Not sure if I've seen Tiny Dungeons, but yeah, anyway, please continue.
So it's a sandbox-style campaign setting with advanced alchemy,
Yep.
clockwork technology,
Okay.
and a powerful new magic system. So there's a world called Siran, where half the world is in perpetual daylight, other continual darkness, as you said. That's where you get your...
Yeah.
That's the one thing that you got.
No.
So that's where you got the score from. And the wondrous creations of master alchemists and clockwork engineers help create a thriving society.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that is.
All right.
There's one left, which looks very, very easy. I think you're going to get it, but let's quickly do it.
Let's do it.
So this is the Superverse.
Ooh, now we're talking. So this sounds like a sort of off-brand, not sponsored by Marvel or DC, but if you squint, you'll see that you can make all sorts of things like the Smolverine and the Smunisher and Arachnid Man, and it's like a superhero generating game where you can have all sorts of heroes coming together and having like a massive crossover sort of thing.
3 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
So it's a campaign setting book
Interesting.
for various systems, including Super's Revised RPG, Icons Assembled, Champions Complete, Bash Ultimate Edition, and Super Game 3rd Edition.
That seems entirely reasonable. I'm not a man big into my superhero RPGs.
Of those, the only one I've got Icons upstairs. I haven't got any of the others.
I've heard of Icons.
It's a campaign source book. It was originally designed for Super's Revised, which is a rules light RPG published by Hazard Studios.
Yep.
And there's additional editions of it for Icons, Bash, Super Game, and stuff like that. So this specific source book contains stats and origins for the Freedom Ring and the Iron Gauntlet, 5 superheroes and 7 supervillains.
Yep.
4 interlinked adventures designed to introduce all of those characters into your games, plus new characters and organisations, a timeline of the Superverse, and the City of Del Rey, which is a fictionalised version of San Francisco where the adventures are set.
Okay. Yeah. That, not what I said, but I've not heard. It sounds like if you click from the Superverse, you'll get things that you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. That is our favourite game of all the world over for another week.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Woohoo indeed. You did destroy the world this week, I'm pleased to say.
Yes, it's a gift.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I can put this aside now.
Yes.
So we got a sketch here sent in by Richard Kirk. Thank you again, Richard Kirk. This is the 3rd sketch Richard has sent in, and they're always excellent.
Yes.
As always, if you want to send us in a sketch, send it in to morrispodcast@gmail.com, and we will do our best to perform it. We might not be any good, but, we'll give it a go.
Enthusiastic amateurs. That's the best we can hope for.
And so without further ado, this one is called And Then What? By Richard Kirk. Let's go.
And now, Sir Jennings, noble paladin and saviour of all, you are defeated.
Why, you may think you have me, Lord Draxus, but I have one last trick up my sleeve.
Yes.
Amulet of Power. Activate.
What, this amulet of power?
Ah.
I am afraid my minions found that while you were unconscious. You see, you really have no way of escaping those magical bonds. It would be a shame if you weren't able to watch my final victory over the 8 realms.
You fiend! You will never succeed.
Nothing can stop my great necro-cataclysm. Once this final black crystal is placed upon my dread altar, every living thing in the 8 realms will become my undead slave.
And then what?
What?
Well, once the whole world has been turned into mindless undead slaves.
I will rule the 8 realms. I, Lord Draxus, Death Lord of Dagmorden, will reign supreme. My undead empire will cover the entire world.
Yes, I see that. The black crystal will power your necromantic machine and turn every living thing into your mindless slave.
Exactly.
But then what?
What?
Well, what will you do after that?
I will reign supreme.
Over an entire world of mindless undead?
Yes.
Oh,
What?
wouldn't that be a bit dull?
Dull? Dull? I alone will rule over the entire world.
But what for?
For?
What will there be to do? You won't have anyone to talk to, no one left to conquer, nowhere to invade. What will you actually do once you reign supreme?
Well, does it matter?
Oh, not to me. I'll be a mindless zombie, unable to think or feel. I just think you might get a bit bored, being the only person in the world able to think or feel.
Oh.
But if you're sure, you should probably pop the old black crystal onto the dread altar and get this over with.
You don't fancy a bit of an escape first? One last go at it all before I destroy you once and for all?
No, that's fine. Necro cataclysm away.
So, even if I was to casually leave this amulet where you could reach it and turn my back, you wouldn't fancy a bit of a heroic escape?
I suppose I could be persuaded.
Well, I'll just...
Amulet of Power, activate!
Curse you, Sir Jennings! No! Not the Black Crystal!
Your necro cataclysm is foiled, and I, once again, am the hero.
All right, don't milk it. Who are you trying to impress? Now clear off. You have thwarted me for the last time, Sir Jennings, my... what's the point?
So shall we move on to our topic of the week?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I also wanted to mention, which we keep forgetting to mention.
What do we keep forgetting to mention?
Because we've been talking about D&D's birthday, we've been talking about Shadowruns, we've been talking about BattleTech.
Yes.
We passed over 7 months of our podcast.
What?
And we mentioned this to each other like 3 weeks ago, and 2 weeks ago, and last week. And each time we went, oh, we forgot to mention it in the podcast. So about a month ago, can't remember what it was exactly. We started, early June, so July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Yeah, so we passed 7 months of our podcast.
It's just flown by.
Yeah, it has flown by.
We'd like to thank all our listeners, the ones who've been with us since the beginning. Tyler, you know we like you. And all the ones who just come and joined. So, yeah.
And the ones that stopped listening, we... don't thank you, but you'll never know because you stopped listening.
Yeah, I mean, if you decide to come back and start listening again, then sweet. But it's okay, we understand. People are busy, and not everyone needs to know the latest and greatest RPG news.
Everyone does need it.
Well, need is probably a strong word. But yeah, I agree.
Hello, everyone. Your editor, Daryl here. The guy spent a very long time talking about Dragonlance, and I just wanted to warn you now that there's going to be many spoilers for the novels and, by association, the adventures that follow. There's also a lot more to this discussion available on our bonus content episode on patreon.com/Morrus. Available the following day after each podcast, Patreon backers get access to an exclusive episode full of content that there just wasn't room for in the main podcast, off-topic discussions, flubs, and a lot more. So if you want to know more about Dragonlance and get bonus content for all of our other episodes, head over to patreon.com/Morrus and help support the show.
What's that on the table?
It appears to be a pair of microphones.
In between the microphone.
A rather nice cup of tea.
I can see where this is going.
Yes. Is it a D20? No. What we have is, it's marked DL19130, and for those of you who are like, what is that? And there are those of you who are going to be going, could it be? And yes, it could. AD&D, Dragonlance, official game adventure Dragons of Despair by Tracy Hickman.
The first Dragonlance adventure.
Yeah, and I must say...
and one of my favourite pieces of RPG art of all time on the front of it, Dragons of Despair. It's the first of, I think it was 14 modules, I can't remember exactly. It's about 14 modules, which was the entire Dragonlance saga.
Yeah.
And which was probably one of the earliest examples of an adventure path before the word even existed, the phrase even existed.
An adventure path, and I think arguably actual play.
Well, yeah, of course, because the Dragonlance books, the Dragonlance Chronicles, were being written about the same time. And the characters, because this module, if I open it up here, this Dragons of Despair, comes with pre-generated characters for you to play. And if you look at those pre-generated characters, you will see that those pre-generated characters are Tanis, Goldmoon, Tasselhoff, etc.
Yeah.
The characters from...
Yeah, the Dragonlance Chronicles.
The Dragonlance novels, yes.
Yeah.
So basically, the novels and the modules were kind of being written at the same time. I'm not sure which started first and which caught up and then went ahead. I have a feeling that the modules started first and then the books eventually sort of caught up and started going ahead. So it kind of switched from being the books were being written based on the novel modules to vice versa, I think. To an extent. Or one of those two ways round. Anyway, so this is Dragons of Despair, what we've got in front of us right here, which is a DL1. It's got a picture of a black dragon breathing acid down on... that would be Caramon. That would be Caramon, who's deflecting it with a shield. You can see Gold Moon there with the blue crystal staff.
Oh, yeah.
And that is Tanis there, pointing an arrow, rather pointlessly, at the dragon.
I think he needs to get a bit more back on target because currently he's going to wing it at best.
Yeah, and then we've got Flint there as well. Flint Fireforge. It's a gorgeous piece of art. I love that piece of art.
Strong looking book.
Yeah. So this the Dragonlance campaign setting.
Surely this must be just before they're about to recover the discs of Mishakal. Surely.
I'm not sure that's an exact scene, to be honest. Because the only time they actually face Kisant the dragon in the books is when it bursts out of the well. And then kills Riverwind, who then gets resurrected. Spoilers.
Oh no!
So I don't know that's an actual scene from the book. It's just kind of, but even so, I mean, Dragonlance was the first D&D setting that I got into, and arguably I'd say is my favourite D setting.
Yeah.
Ravenloft comes a close second, but I think Dragonlance wins. For me.
Oh yeah, a bit of Krynn. You know, we stand with a bit of Krynn.
Yeah, and I've got memories of reading the Dragonlance Chronicles and the Dragonlance Legends.
Oh yes, the Tales of the Twins of Raceland and Caramon. Yes.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, so the Dragonlance setting is set on the world of Krynn.
Yes.
And it's obviously a dragon-focused setting. So as it opens with Dragons of Despair, or it's the accompanying novel, which is Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
Yeah.
So dragons haven't been seen for hundreds of years.
Oh yeah.
They're mythical creatures. Nobody really believes they existed.
Passed into history.
Same with the gods. There were no clerics.
Yes.
The gods haven't been around for hundreds of years. Not since a massive cataclysm sort of badly affected the world.
Yeah, the priest king of Ishtar managed to
anger the gods, who threw a meteorite down on the world and then left.
Caught an asteroid between the eyes.
Yeah. So basically,
that's when you know you've messed up.
So basically, everyone thinks dragons are mythical. Yeah. Everyone thinks the gods are mythical. Other than that, it's a fairly standard fantasy world. Other than that, you've got your elves who live in Qualinest, the forest of Qualinesti. Yeah. The haughty
Silvernesti elves.
Yeah. You've got the dwarves who are hidden away in Thorbardin. You've got the plains, which have the barbarian tribes. It's fairly standard stuff apart from those two major plot elements.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some fairly nice parts in it, like the currency is steel rather than gold.
Yeah,
because
steel's more valuable to people. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I suppose you could take your wealth and turn it into a sword. Yeah.
And so at the start of the adventure, basically these dragon armies are forming. And these are starting to march across the continent of Ansalon on the world of Krynn and starting to, they're not very nice. No. Basically, they're led by dragon lords.
Yes.
And there's 5 dragon armies, one for each chromatic colour: red, black, white, green, and blue.
Yeah.
Then you've got the 5 dragon lords. So the red dragon lord was Verminard.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The blue dragon lord was spoiler, Kitiara, one of the who was originally part of the adventuring group.
Yes.
Featured in the novels, but
she went
who they haven't seen for years.
And they made her an NPC.
Yeah, essentially. There's what other ones are there? There's
Toad, I think, was one, wasn't he?
He was the Black Dragon Army, was he? He's a hobgoblin, Viewmaster Toad, something like that. There was the White Dragon Army based down at the sort of ice wall and to the south, and that's Fass, he was called.
Yeah, that's right. He sort of got a bit killed off screen.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on with Green Dragon armies, because the only real green dragon you meet is the one in Silvernesti that's corrupted the land.
Yeah, that's right. It's
name I forget offhand.
It was Qualinesti, because we start off with the Silvernesti elves, which...
No, the Silvernesti The Qualinesti are the
Because
ones...
the Sylvanesti and Qualinesti haven't been able to talk for a long
Yeah,
time.
the Qualinesti are the ones that are nearby, which they visit in the first book.
Right, okay. There must be yeah, that's right, it's the Sylvanesti
Yeah.
ones. Because they've all been... all the Sylvanesti elves are now in a refugee crisis.
Yeah.
They've, due to the takeover of their government by a poisonous green dragon
Yes.
that has corrupted the land and the king and their system of government, they've all had to flee to the lands of the Kaganesti, the wild elves, who are being jolly decent about it, but who are being looked down on and treated badly.
Yeah. So you've got these dragon armies sort of marching over the entire world.
Yeah.
And the quest of the heroes, essentially. I mean, it goes over 14 different modules and 3 different novels. So, you know, it's
decent-sized novels as well.
But we're bringing it down to its sort of core element. Basically, they discover the gods exist.
Yeah.
Starting with Mishakal, the goddess of healing, and then they slowly start to discover other gods still exist. They discover dragons still exist by meeting them and running away.
Because there's a whole sort of running subplot about the Seeker Faith, who are essentially not praying to any gods, but are like...
They've got new gods.
They've got new gods.
But they don't really exist.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
And also one of the things that, looking back, I really appreciated was how the Cataclysm really changed the world. It sort of broke the world. So you got, that's why the Sylvanesti and Qualinesti can't talk, because there's like a big old like mountain range and like seas have moved in.
And of course, where the meteor hit the world, there's a great big sea called the Blood Sea.
The Blood Sea, yeah.
And it's got this great big whirlpool.
Oh, is
in
that,
the middle
is that
of
the
it.
Maelstrom, I want to
Yeah.
say? Is it? Oh, it is the Maelstrom. Ooh, yeah.
And lots of pirate minotaurs, which kind of like sail around and stuff.
You got me. Those are like my absolute favouriteest Minotaurs.
Pirate minotaurs are also.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, minotaurs, sailors and pirates in any game I run.
Yeah, I'm down with this.
Yeah.
Because it's just like... and what was the sort of... Kaz the Minotaur? That was one of the spin-off books.
That was a spin-off book, yeah.
Yeah, but he was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like, you know... Because they're not like the absolutely monstrous giant beasts. They are basically sort of like cow people... But they're pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty big and tough.
Yeah.
But going back to the main story,
Yes,
the main characters. So we got a group of characters, and they end up having to rediscover or reforge Dragonlances, which are basically the only weapon really that people can use effectively against dragons, because dragons are just so mean. Later in the story, of course, the good dragons will turn. And it turns out the good dragons... This is totally spoilerific.
Because let's not forget, there's like a new enemy that has come up. The Draconians.
Yes.
Which no one's ever seen before. Like, okay, so you're basically sort of a stroppy lizard person with wings, shank. And
They're
then
kind of a precursor
things.
to Dragonborn, really, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. But unlike Dragonborn in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, these ones either turn to stone, which is very inconvenient if you just stab one through the heart with your sword.
There's 5 different varieties, aren't there? And each one does a different thing when you kill it.
Yeah, some explode.
One of them turns into a pool of acid.
That's awkward. Yes.
The Bozak turned to stone, which they're the weakest ones.
Yeah. I needed that. I was using that to stab you, damn it. Yeah. There's all sorts and stuff going on.
So I absolutely adore the Dragonlance setting. It's a real shame that it's never really come back in 5th edition. I don't know if it ever will.
Yeah, it's tricky because you're sort of you're really reliant upon the books.
I think that's part of the problem. It's a little bit like Star Wars in a sense. The good bit of it is essentially the original story.
The original
and
trilogy.
all of the extra stuff, this sort of expanded universe, I guess, in a way. Which was just, it was dozens and dozens of novels.
There were loads.
There were more and more adventures and things which came out with greater cataclysms and worse wars and stuff like that. Which I didn't really get into all that because they kind of devalued the original.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The Dragons. I never actually got around to reading Dragon. But I mean, to be fair, it's produced some really iconic stuff as well. Like Lord Soth, I think we've talked about previously.
It's essentially Darth Vader. But he's a Death Knight. He's the iconic Death Knight.
He's more Darth Vader than Darth Vader, if you ask me. It's like, Lord Soft turns up, and what is the name of the tower?
Which tower would that be?
It's the...
There's many towers.
There are, but this is an Archmage's tower, and eventually Raistlin moves in there.
Oh, the Tower of Palanthas.
That's the one.
Yes, that's when Raistlin becomes the master of past and present.
Oh, yeah.
And he becomes the most powerful mage to ever have lived. And then he moves in there.
I'm definitely getting goosebumps just remembering that.
Yeah.
Some really powerful stuff there.
What I thought was really clever was, at first, before they went into all of the sort of like, oh, well, there's an even bigger war now, and oh, well, there's even bigger dragons now, all that sort of stuff, and escalating.
Yeah.
But the first trilogy of novels, on which the first 14 adventures correspond, deals with the War of the Lance.
Yeah. And you were saying that these were like produced, and then people are playing them.
Yeah. But the second trilogy of novels cleverly didn't advance the timeline with something bigger and greater. It was a more personal trilogy. It was about the relationship between Raistlin, the Archmage, and Karaman, his warrior brother, and they end up going back in time to Istar when it was basically, I guess, Rome with the Colosseum and gladiators and all that stuff. So instead of it being another great big apocalyptic war to overshadow the previous one, it's really a personal mission where Raistlin is trying to gain power and he wants to overcome the gods and stuff like that. And that kind of works because it doesn't in any way demolish what happened before in the way that I think some of the later things did a bit.
Yeah, they sort of devalue it. Yes, whereas like that was, I mean, they definitely had two of, I'm going to be honest, more interesting characters because I remember what Gold Moon looks like. I remember what Riverrun looks like. But if we're looking at it round the table, that's like the guy who's just here to hit things with a sword, and his girlfriend who's here. And if she was in Monday, she'd be on her phone all the time. Yeah.
Well, if you go through the characters then. Yeah. So the leader of the group ostensibly is Tanis, who's a half-elven ranger with a red beard. Leader is
a strong
kind of a reluctant
leader / designated scapegoat. Yeah. I feel would be a more accurate framing.
There's him, and his best friend is Flint Fireforge, a dwarf who's very much a typical dwarf, I guess.
Yeah, he's an... I don't know about typical, I say archetypical. You know, he's a dwarf, you know where you stand with him.
He's Gimli.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. And then there's a Tasselhoff Burfoot, which is a Kender. Kenders were a race introduced by Dragonlance all that time ago, which, let's say they're controversial.
I'm so conflicted.
I think I've never actually met anyone that played a Kender in a way that didn't irritate me, but I think the character of Taz in the books was great.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Taz is, like, really interesting. I think for things like Legends was pretty essential, because that would be a very dark tale.
Well, the thing is, Taz grows, doesn't he? He develops as a person. He has a character up and stuff like that. But when people play Kender, they tend to just go, oh, I'm a kleptomaniac, I'm going to steal everything. And that's basically it.
Yeah, I mean, creating a race of nearly unhittable, because they're so good at dodging, kleptomaniac,
fearless. They don't possess the emotion of fear.
Fearless and no sense of self-preservation whatsoever.
That's a dragon. I'm going to go and have a close look.
Yeah. It's a dragon. I'll try and steal a ring from underneath its nose.
Yeah. Although notably, Taz was afraid of Lord Soth. It was the first time he ever felt fear.
Because Lord Soth was just that badass.
So you've got this race of, as you say, kleptomaniac, fearless, mischievous kind of...
Who constantly steal from the party.
It's not that they're kleptomaniacs, they don't really have the concept of property, and I think they think themselves that they just found this stuff. And
it's like, oh, this looks just like your dagger. Ha 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 ha. And that's the sort of thing which, in the confines of a story, is okay, but in the confines of a game, it's like...
I think if you're stealing off the other players, they just get irritated.
It's like, here, come, have a sit down for your rest.
I did actually discover a way of handling it, because I played through the original modules years and years ago.
Oh yeah.
The way it took us until about halfway through till we figured out how to handle the Kender.
Okay.
Because we were young. We were young at the time and stuff. But so what happens is you decide that everything the Kender steals is just from unnamed NPCs.
Legit.
So he hasn't stolen the king's crown. Yeah. He hasn't stolen, Karaman's sword. He hasn't anything like that. So you can have the Kender producing random stuff and saying, where did this come from? All this sort of stuff. but you just have this tacit table agreement
Yeah.
that's always from the extras.
I think that's really cool, and it's just like there are some amazing things like trinket tables.
Yes, yeah, which you can roll to see what's in your pockets. Yeah.
What is in your pockets? Oh, I don't know. Let me just check. Huh. It's a strange carved needle that always points towards the north. How about that?
Tell you what I love about this particular module, Dragons of Despair,
Yeah.
is you open it up. I love the way all this sort of first edition modules all came with their little GM screen, DM screen, which you could put up. And it's got the maps on the inside, and all the modules used to be.
Okay, yeah. So we've got sort of a map of what's that? The tavern. Is that
No. So these this is the sunken temple.
Oh,
So
right,
the dragon's
right.
lair is down here.
Yeah.
And this is where the well is and the statue and all that. And they go down into the sunken temple. And then down, do you remember the big sort of pots that they go down in chains?
Yeah.
Just go down to there and stuff like that.
Right with you. Yeah. Okay, so
And that's the surrounding swamp there.
yeah, I must say I don't see a lot of three-dimensional maps. That's a very nice way of doing it.
Well, I think it's fairly common these days.
It's
you
more-
could
it's
look at
more
Curse of
common.
Strahd, that's a three-dimensional map.
I haven't actually seen that from a GM side of things. Could I?
Yeah. This is an early example of one.
Oh yeah. So
And then on the player side, you've got a sort of wilderness map,
yeah.
which has the Darkened Wood, Qualinesti,
Yeah.
Solace, and the Inn of the Last Home, and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Somewhat bizarrely, the plot is facing the players, but still, there you go. And then that gorgeous art on the cover.
Yeah. No, it's really nice. And then you get into the actual game itself.
Yeah, so these modules are they're quite small. Yeah, they all add together to like a
32 odd pages. Yeah.
32 pages. Yes, so 32-page modules. There's 14 of them.
Yeah. Okay. That adds up nicely.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I found particularly enchanting was it's got like a little song in it.
There's a Canticle of the Dragon at the back.
So a bit of poetry, but there's also like a song set to music.
There is actually some music in there. Yeah, let's have a look. Where is it?
And I don't.
I'm sure if you went online, you could probably find someone's actually
Yeah.
sang this. Song of Gold Moon. This is, and it's it's a song set to music.
And that's just, it's such a, like, I wouldn't find that in a modern book. So it's like, it just sort of, it evokes in me the idea that someone might get this and then has a player learn that song so they could perform
I
it.
bet that happened as well.
And I bet, like, there were some terrible cringeworthy performances, but there were some that might have been quite good. You never know.
So I'm just looking at the pre-generated characters here. So we've got, as we mentioned, Tanis, who's a 5th level half-elf fighter. We've got Tasselhoff, 4th level Kender thief. Back when thieves were thieves.
Yes.
We've got Karaman, who's a 6th level human fighter. He's
Yeah.
a big sort of Arnold Schwarzenegger like big bloke, and his brother Racelin, a 3rd level human magic user. Back when they were magic users rather than
It's always
wizards.
been such an archetypical divide. It's like you've got your
interesting
sickly mage with a
It's interesting
cough.
the level differences though. Racelin's 3rd level,
Yeah.
Karaman's 6th level. It's not a super balanced party, I wouldn't say.
No.
Gold Moon's a 5th level human cleric, so basically she's the first cleric back after 3 years.
Yeah.
Riverwind, who's her husband, a 5th level human ranger. Stern Brightblade, who's the Knight of Slamnia, a 6th level human fighter,
Yeah.
who has a sad end.
Yeah.
And Flint Fireforge, a 4th level dwarf fighter.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I've really liked about the books you're mentioning, the sad ends, the way they handle the character deaths.
No, I absolutely adore that. I mean, I don't I'll ever play it again. I've played through the entire thing, and it's a long adventure path.
Yeah. It's like, would you?
And people do criticise it for being very railroady, and I would say yes, it is very railroady.
yeah.
very
Clunk,
very
clunk,
railroady.
clunk.
But
Yeah.
I didn't mind that. I was fine with that.
Yeah. It's like everyone likes different things. Some people who are for the immersion and the like creation of their characters will hate that, and rightly so. And other people who really love the story will love it, and rightly so. There's no wrong way to play a game.
Yeah.
As long as everyone's like on the same page about what constitutes having fun.
Do you know what some of the stuff that happened after all this was?
No.
They had these giant dragons. I'm trying to remember now because I never got into this. It didn't work for me.
This is the Dragons of Summer Flame stuff, is it?
I think it was after. I can't remember. But basically, they ended up with these giant dragons that came from like another world or something.
Okay.
And the gods had gone again. You know,
Slackers.
it kind of undoes the entire original Chronicles
Yeah,
and
that's-
Legends. I don't like it, but it has its fans, and
Well, fair play to you.
fair play to them. But there's these giant dragons which are like 10 times the size of regular dragons, and the world is divided up between them, and they rule over massive sort of territories of the world. and the gods have gone again, and the Wizards of High Sorcery are gone, and there's just these grey mages instead, and it totally changed the setting, and it does have its fans, and
Why call that Dragonlance?
It just seems like a different setting to me.
That sounds to me that's a legitimately interesting idea. I think it would be quite cool, just not for Dragonlance. You're sort of done with Krynn, and that resetting it is, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I get it. I mean, once you've done the Chronicles, you can't. The legends aren't really adventure parthy. It'd be quite hard to.
No.
I suppose you could, but it is very much more character driven.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at almost duet play at that sort of level, where you've got.
I mean, the legends were fantastic.
Yeah,
adore them. I don't think they're very adventure parthy. So then, I guess, if you're TSI, you've got to think, where are we going to go from there? And they opened up a new continent called Taladas on the other side of the world.
Fair enough.
Which I don't know a great deal about either.
Okay.
And they had lots of adventures there, set there, which I gave them a bit of scope to have adventures which didn't really affect the main...
the main continent.
Okay. And then they advanced it on to these giant dragons and the gods leaving again and all this sort of stuff. And then they had, I think, Return of Tarkesis yet again, years later and stuff like that. Because I also like, because Tarkesis, of course, the gods, you got Tarkesis and Paladine, and they are Tiamat and Bahamut.
Yeah.
Just by different names. One's a chromatic dragon, one's a platinum dragon.
I hear what you're saying. I say Tarxis and Gandalf, but just because of how Fizban manifested.
Oh, yeah, Fizban. Yeah, Fizban was the avatar of Paladine.
Yes, and it was...
and he was this bumbling old wizard. Yeah, so Dragonlance later, in 1997, it got licensed to Sovereign Press.
Okay.
That was... 1997 was when Wizards purchased TSR.
Right, yeah.
And then in 2001, it got licensed to Sovereign Press.
Okay, so 2001 was licensed to Sovereign Press.
Yeah, so Sovereign Press was Margaret Weiss's company at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so she produced third edition Dragonlance materials for about 5 or 6 years until the license expired.
Yeah.
And then since then, I'm not sure what's happened then.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say in terms of reading material, I always regarded like seeing Weiss and Hickman on the cover as a sure sign that I was going to have a good time.
Yeah. I'm just looking at that timeline that we were talking about earlier, where it goes afterwards. I've just called this up. So we got the Chronicles, which obviously we're both familiar with.
Yeah.
Then we've got the Legends, which again we're very familiar with.
Absolutely.
Then we get the second generation, which is about the kids of the main heroes.
Right, okay, yeah.
Then we got the Dragons of Summer Flame. And this is a brand new war called the Chaos War, also known as the Second Cataclysm.
Yeah, right.
And Chaos is trying to destroy Krynn, and the war ends with the Chaos and the gods of Krynn leaving.
Oh, right.
So basically the entire setting kind of resetting, in a sense. Then we've got Dragons of a New Age, which is where these big dragon overlords come in. And this is where these giant dragons which rule the entire world.
Right.
Then we've got the War of Souls trilogy.
Oh, wow.
A brand new war, yet another war, called the War of Souls. And the end of the war brings the gods back again.
Oh, okay.
And Tarkesis dies, and Paladine leaves in order to maintain balance.
Right.
Then we've got the Dark Disciple trilogy, which follows the death of Tarkesis and the departure of Paladine, where the lesser gods try to maintain... I haven't read this at all.
Right.
And then the Lost Chronicles trilogy, which is a companion to the original Chronicles, which fills in sections of the series previously left untold.
Right, okay, so that would be things like where Lorona and stuff pop on down to the ice wall to have it out with
exactly that.
The White Dragon chap.
Tells us stories surrounding the recovery of the Hammer of Karas.
Yes.
That happened in Thorbardin. Because there's some of these are covered by adventures.
Yeah, okay.
So there's an adventure in the 14th series. One of the adventures is going to Thorbardin and recovering the Hammer of Karas from his tomb.
Right.
But of course that doesn't feature in the novels. They skip that, don't they?
Yeah, because
then they go from before it and afterwards, and they just go, "Oh, we've got the Hammer of Karas now."
Yeah, that's
we had an adventure. That was fun, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a fun adventure. Okay, let's carry on.
And But where is my story?
And also the ice wall thing.
Yeah.
Again, that's probably Dragons of Ice, I imagine it's called.
Dragons.
Because all of these are called Dragons of something. Each module is Dragons of Hope, Dragons of Despair, Dragons of Ice, Dragons of,
Dragons of a bad cold, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So there's one about how a race in Majir took the black robes in Naraka. One about how Kitiara and Lord Soth became allies. Stuff like that, just like stories which fill in the gaps in the original chronicles.
So I suppose you could read those as like the expanded edition chronicles. If such were your thing.
So I absolutely love Dragonlance. It says there's over 190 novels. That's a lot of books.
Wow. Okay.
The original ones have made over 20 bestseller lists, sales in excess of 22 million, been translated into big old list of languages there.
Yeah.
Did you see the film? The Dragons of Autumn Twilight film, animated film.
This is the bit where I look at you with big eyes and go, what?
2008.
Really?
It had Lucy Lawless, Kiefer Sutherland, Michael Rosenbaum, and that's why I said that, Michelle Trachtenberg. So Michael Rosenbaum was Lex Luthor in Smallville. Michelle Trachtenberg was in Buffy. She was Dawn, I believe.
Oh.
Lucy Lawless, of course, was Xena.
Yeah.
And Kiefer Sutherland's Kiefer Sutherland. It was good.
Oh.
It was bad.
Is this why I've not heard of it then?
I mean, it's worth... If you like Dragonlance, it's worth watching...
I do quite like Dragonlance.
Just out of a sense of completeness. But you will watch it and you will be thinking all the way through, this is really bad.
But why?
It's just...
They clearly spent money on it. It's like those aren't like tiny no-name people.
Yeah, you can find it, I'm sure.
I'm so conflicted.
Based on the New York Times best-selling novel,
Chaos, war, death. That is what I see.
featuring the voices of Lucy Lawless, Michael Rosenbaum, Dragonlance. After 300 years of peace, the evil goddess Takisis and her unstoppable army of dragons have descended upon the mystic world of Krynn. Now, a handful of warriors must battle the forces of darkness in a struggle to save all they hold dear. But will even their great courage be enough when the final battle begins? Dragonlance. Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
I think it only tells the story of up as far as Kissaranth.
Yeah.
And
okay.
the return of Mashako and little stuff. And all.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's better than...
I liked the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings. It was good. It's like, I watched it a lot.
Just looking at the...
So,
Tracy Hickman, of course, he's responsible for Ravenloft also.
Really?
Yes.
I did not.
Back in 1983.
Cool.
And then Hickman and his wife Laura created the Dragonlance concept, and then he ended up working with Margaret Wise. And also a whole bunch of other people, because the original series was a series suggestion was a series of 12 modules, each featuring a different dragon. I assume that must mean 6 good and 6 evil. I don't know, because there's 5 good and 5... I don't know which...
There's a lot of colours flecking around. Yeah,
okay. And then TSR sort of said that they should get additional support from others. So you had all these sort of legendary names like Jeff Grubb and Larry Elmore and Roger Moore, not that one. Doug Niles, Michael Williams, and people like that.
Right.
And they decided that... Because Margaret Weiss at the time was doing those Endless Quest books for TSR. Okay. And they decided that the novels should accompany the game modules.
Oh, right, yeah.
Originally, TSR hired a separate writer.
Yeah.
And Tracy Hickman became like the overall sort of design coordinator.
Yeah.
And they called it Project Overlord at the time. This is before it became known as the Dragonlance Saga.
Okay.
That's the code name for it.
Yeah.
So, they decided to create a massive franchise with modules, board games, figures, miniatures, and novels, which is the first time they'd
Yeah.
sort of had that approach, this whole sort of massive multimedia, because they do that, you know, properties do that all the time now.
Yeah.
It's like the standard way you approach an IP.
That's
but
a
back then,
combined arms approach sort of thing. Do all the things, yeah.
so Margaret Weiss was hired as the editor, and with Hickman, she started working with the author that was hired to write the novels. But nobody was happy with the work that author was doing.
Oh.
And Hickman and Weiss decided to write the books themselves.
Oh.
So over a weekend, they sort of collaborated and wrote the prologue for the first 5 chapters of Dragons of Autumn Twilight, the first novel, based on this module here, Dragons of Despair. So TSR liked that, gave them the assignment, fired the original author.
No.
Harsh.
Well, yeah, crikey.
And the rest is history.
Wow. Goodness. Well, that is my mind properly blown. I had no idea about half the stuff. I would previously have considered myself a Dragonlance fan. Clearly, I've got a long way to go in my Slave's Devotion.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's interesting here, Tracy Hickman, well, Margaret Weiss originally had problems writing Tannis Elven in the books, because she couldn't get sort of like a handle on the character. So Tracy Hickman said, basically, he's Captain Kirk. I'm not really sure I see that, but...
Captain Kirk?
Yeah, well, there we go. And apparently after that explanation, Margaret Weiss had no trouble writing Tannis. She just wrote Captain Kirk. I don't get it. I'm not sure I believe that. I don't know whether that's like urban myth, whether that actually happened, but...
That's I apologise to listeners to those horrible grinding sounds. That's sound my brain's trying to change gear without the use of a clutch.
Yeah. So
okay, I could see it in that he has a complete weakness for anything with long hair that pounces him vaguely. That's very Tannis. I can see that relationship to Captain Kirk. But other than that, he's really more of a Hamlet figure.
I don't.
It's like, mate, just make a decision, Tannis.
I'm with you.
Make a decision.
It's interesting some of the history of Raistlin here as well, because they hadn't fleshed out Raistlin.
So
this is before, when Raistlin first appears, he's basically a sickly red robe mage.
Yeah.
There was none of this stuff, he's going to become a black robe mage, he's going to become the most powerful mage ever, he's going to do this, do that, he's going to defeat the gods, all that stuff. None of that was even in anyone's mind at the time.
No.
He was just, there's this red robe mage and he's Caraman's brother. That's all we know.
I hurl fireballs, but I have a bit of a cough.
Yeah.
Seems like fair trade to me.
So game designer Terry Phillips was at the initial game session, and he was given Racing. And of course, as I said, Racing wasn't fleshed out at the time.
No.
They were just settling into the game, and Tracy Hickman says, we were just settling into the game. And he turned to Terry Phillips and asked what his character was doing, and Terry spoke, and he used this rasping voice and this sarcasm and bitterness and stuff. And everyone in the room was apparently transfixed. Yeah. Just like, that's a brilliant meta-characterization that he just like spontaneously brought to this. Basically, he was third level, you're a third level magic user. There you go. That's all we know about the character.
Mate.
To this, history was written in that moment.
Yeah.
And Margaret Weiss actually says that Terry wore black robes to the party that night, to the game that night. Which, again, I don't know if that's true or not. Probably not.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, do it.
So that game, various heroes of art were played by various people.
Yeah.
I won't list them all, but they sort of down, and the characters kind of came out just through people's portrayal of them at that game.
Yeah. Okay. So he took black robes. Yeah. I mean, some of the ways he changes over time, he becomes like he gets his bronze skin, like almost copper coloured.
I think he always had that because that happened when he took the test of high sorcery. So when you meet him, he has the.
Does he have the hourglass pupils?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's part of the curse he has.
Yeah.
And he can see everyone dying slowly.
Yes, that's right. That is from the. I wasn't sure, like, if that was a price he paid for later.
No, that was the price he paid at his test of high sorcery.
Yeah, with that lich.
Yeah.
Lich.
I think it was a lich. Yeah. Oh, no, it was a wraith actually. He couldn't have been a lich at third level. That's insane.
No, it wasn't him that was the lich. It was like a
Fistandantlus.
Yeah.
Oh no, Fistandantlus turned up to help him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, he was being beaten by the wraith.
Yes.
And Fistandantlus turned up to help him, but that was the price.
It was some sort of
of his life was the price.
Exactly, yeah.
And of course, what he didn't know was Fistandantlus was actually him back in time.
Bum bum bum. Yeah.
So all very, very complicated. I love the time travel shenanigans.
Yeah. No, to be fair, that is some quality, timey-wimey, handy-wavy stuff there.
I would love to see Dragonlance.
Oh.
But then again, yeah, I don't know what they do with it. I mean, they can either do the Chronicles again, but do you really need them done again? Because people know the story, and you could take these and run them in 5th edition enough. Or you could invent a new epic story on top. Or you could have a sort of generic fantasy adventure in some corner of the world, but at that point, why set it in Krynn?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like things like the moons being so key to magic use.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really nice details.
In the Dragonlance Adventures hardcover setting, because obviously the setting book came later, there's rules for tracking the moons. So what you do, there's these 3 rings, and you've got to track each day, because they go around at different speeds, obviously. You track each day where each moon is, and then, depending on whether you're a red, white, or black road wizard, you get sort of boost to your power, or your power wanes a little bit. And there's sometimes when certain moons are in line, in conjunction and stuff, different things happen. I never actually used that, because it was just a bit too fiddly, but as an idea, it was cool.
Yeah, no, I sort of like that. I sort of hate it at the same time. It's something that would be really fun if someone else is keeping track of it.
There's this weird rule in the Dragonlance Adventures setting book. It said that no character can go above 18th level.
Oh, okay.
Once you hit 18th level, if you go above 18th level, the gods take you away somewhere else.
What?
So the only character in that book, because they had all the NPC stuff, the only character in that book above 18th level was Racelyn, who was 20th level.
Oh.
Because obviously he defied the gods, sort of thing. But it was a bit of an odd rule there. I'm sure there's some history as to why they did that.
That's curious.
I know, Fist and Antlers was in there, and he was like 23rd or 25th or something.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
He was higher.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Krynn is an interesting setting, I feel. I like the idea of the world has been changed. Like massive seas where they shouldn't be, deserts where there were seas, like all those things. That's really interesting and good. It's like you've got a reason for your dwarven fortresses and stuff. For like there are elves that are very similar in culture, but they just don't get along because they haven't seen each other in so long. There's lots of different elements, but I mean,
so you know what I always think? If they were to make a Netflix D&D show of Dragonlance, that would be perfect. That would be the format to do that, like Game of Thronesy style.
Yeah. All right.
I think rather than films, there's too much in it for films. I think you'd have to go at it Games of Thrones style. You have to do a TV series, probably Netflix or something like that.
This is not suitable for like film as a medium. I'll say.
I suppose Lord of the Rings translated, but
but The Hobbit is a much closer comparison. I'll say that because
The Hobbit's a very short book, whereas the Dragonlance Chronicles is a very big book.
Yeah, but it's a number of characters. And bring out the character development. Because a Hobbit TV series, you could actually have given the dwarves a personality. I mean, to be fair, that's more than Tolkien did. Let's be honest. Like, he got maybe 3 different characters. But, like, in the films, it was just like, well, there's a bunch of dwarves. That's the fat one.
Well, I think we've given Dragonlance a good seeing to today, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much for listening. This is me signing off. It's goodbye from me, Russ.
And it's goodbye from me, Peter Coffey, from the Southampton Guild of Roleplayers.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, it was Daryl's birthday today, wasn't it?
Yesterday, I think. The day before.
Happy birthday, Daryl.
Happy birthday, Daryl.